Hello, thank you for joining me. I have John Duke Logan here today on Get Real and Own Person podcast. Thanks so much for joining. Um, as always, I wanted to highlight just a unique human story and career path. John, you can introduce yourself in a minute, but you've had kind of the untraditional path, and but you've been able to build a successful brand around what you do. So it's maybe a bit loaded for me to try to explain what you do. So why don't you just give your explanation?
Sure, that's a great question. Yeah, I've been fortunate to have a unique path, but at the end of it, I just love blending education and entertainment together. I have a trademark called "Impossible is just a word." So everything I do, whether that's events, whether it's marketing campaigns, whether it's creative content, I try to have people learn about something in a really unique and fun way. So. I started my career path as a magician, actually performing magic, and it took some twists and turns, and I ended up kind of being what I am today. So I'm a producer and creative director, more in the educational field. But I think magic is the thing that got me started and sparked that interest in the impossible.
That is so cool. And I agree that impossible is just a word. If you put your mind to something, anything can happen. And you've proven that, your path has taken you in a lot of surprising and exciting twists and turns. And so I'm curious, how did you start out getting into magic, and how did that kind of spark all of these ideas for education? And you worked for the Patriots as well, right?
I did, yes, yes. So I was 12 years old and I was really bored at my aunt's birthday party. And I was the only person there my age. So I went into the other room just to entertain myself because I was bored to tears. And I just started making up magic tricks just to entertain myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back home that night and just filmed myself performing them. And I just put them on YouTube, didn't really think anything of it. I said, hey, check this out. And one thing led to another, and a talent agency found the videos and
Wow.
didn't know how I was doing these tricks. So
Okay,
at
so you got
12
pretty
years
good
old,
then.
yeah, I don't know how it ended just working that way. And we started talking, and I started working with other magicians, and it really took off from there. I started doing more shows, started traveling more. But throughout that journey, I was really intrigued by the creative process behind magic, where a lot of other magicians they like to focus on the tricks themselves and
Mhm.
what trick can I do to fool people and trick people. But as I was performing more, I said, wow, I really like the creative process behind the tricks and how we're actually making the impossible become possible. So I started doing a lot of research about creativity and education, and I started teaching corporations and leaders what they can learn from magicians regarding the creative process and how we look at things from maybe just an untraditional angle sometimes, and how do we brainstorm together and put a show together and put an experience together. So that really sparked my passion into what I do today. Is I love just creating experiences where people are coming together, learn about something in a really fun way.
That is so interesting and extremely creative of you from a young age. Like it kind of blows my mind that from age 12. And how old were you when you actually started to interact with companies? Because it seems like you were just kind of sold and sure on that idea of that the creative process is intriguing and people can learn in an entertaining way. So kind of walk me through how you got to that point and then pitched it to companies.
Yeah, it was actually so I started performing a lot in college,
Okay.
and in college we had to do a thesis, and because I was part of this program, we had to do research about something. I said, "Huh, what if we could do something around creativity and communication, but what business leaders can learn from
Hmm.
that in regards to magicians?" And so I ended up traveling the country for a little bit and researched magicians and sat down with business leaders and just learned more about the creative process and teamwork how do you make a vision in your head become a reality, and the transferable skills that people can learn. So that's where it really took off. And then after college, I took all that research, I condensed it into a really interactive keynote and workshop, and after that, I started traveling more and doing more of that. So yeah, a lot of other magicians are focused on fooling people and tricking people, where I really love the approach of how can someone learn something, but through the magic, right? Magic is just kind of that bridge to something else, and that's where it really took off.
So when thinking back on what you actually taught people like business leaders, do you have examples of what the magic taught them and that were transferable to their skills?
Sure, yeah. So there's a whole framework I created called the Magician Entrepreneurial Journey, and there's different strategies and different phases within it. But one phrase I really like is the opposite object concept,
Okay.
where if you are trying to think of a new idea, a lot of magicians will take two things that have nothing to do with each other and merge them together. So like a bunny in a hat, right? Like
Right.
a very stereotypical magic trick, right? Uh, so so that's a lot of times magicians will do that and try to think of ways how can we merge two things that really have nothing to do with each other into a trick. So what I talk about with businesses, I say, if you want to think of a new product or service, try to think of things that really have nothing to do with each other and how could you collaborate and learn. So for example, the Reebok pump shoe,
Mm-hmm.
that little pump on the heel, right? That was inspired because the Reebok, a shoe industry, wanted to create a new shoe, and they collaborated with the medical industry, and they introduced them to the blood pressure, the pump,
Oh yeah.
and that's how it came to be. They sold millions of shoes, and worth millions of dollars.
Uh-huh.
So those are a few fun ideas that I do. So then in my keynote, we take two objects from the audience, and then we try to create a trick with it, and we also try to create a new product or service with it as well.
That's so cool. I love that type of just random collaboration that can create something super unique and then
Yeah,
some people can take away a lot from that act. That's so cool.
yeah.
And so I mentioned you were the magician for the New England Patriots, is that right? And then you were also on America's Got Talent. So those are big. I think those are a big deal. How did that come to be? Which came first? And can you just walk me through that?
Sure. Yes, I was on America's Got Talent a few years ago, and that
So
came
cool.
first. And it was just a really great process to learn more about the entertainment industry as well, because I was there. I was seeing the behind the scenes and how the camera worked and how they put a show together. Because that's what I was
Mhm.
really intrigued by, like how they actually produced the show
Yeah.
and the timing and how they all that type of stuff. So I was really intrigued by that. So I made it through multiple rounds within that, and it was really cool because the trick I was doing, it was a close up trick. So they had to use the camera and they projected on the big screen, and there was we were in New York, and I think one of the greatest things during that process was I had all my family and my best friends around me,
Oh,
uh,
that's great.
and which was really cool, and we all got to explore New York City during that time. So yeah, I got all four yeses, and it was a
Wow.
really yeah, it was a really great experience just learning of how a TV show works and how do you adapt magic into a 3 to 4 minute segment, right? Because you can only
Hmm.
have a certain amount of time. And yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool.
That's like
Oh,
a
and then
Oh, I
oh,
was
go.
gonna say that's a once in a lifetime experience. That's amazing, and especially that you had the support of your loved ones there. That's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And so you mentioned that you do some production now in your current career. So was that a huge, example that you've always kept in the back of your mind? Like how do you incorporate what you've learned into your current production and keynotes and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that blends right perfectly into the Patriots
Okay,
question as well. Which I'll talk about Patriots first, and then I'll dive back into that
perfect.
question there, um, because I think they are related to each other. So with the Patriots, I graduated college and I had a degree in marketing, and there was a marketing position available for the Patriots,
Mhm.
digital content, working with the players and things like that. So I applied for this position, and on my resume, it said that I was a magician. So during the interview process, they said, "Oh, this is cool. You're a magician. Tell us more." So I told them exactly what I just told you, is how I use magic as a way to educate people, not tricking people, and things like that. So they said, "Well, what if we give you this marketing job you applied for, but we also have this idea of having your own show with the players as well, and every week you could go down to the studio and film a trick with a new player." I said, "Wow, this is really great." And that's exactly what I did. So every week I would perform magic for a new player, and my goal was for the fans to learn about the player, but through the magic.
Nice.
So it was all about, again, all about blending that education and entertainment aspect together,
Hmm.
where, for instance, a lot of players would have nonprofit organizations, and so I would talk about that through the scripting of the trick.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of players, maybe people didn't know that they grew up in a certain city, so I would talk about that. So at the end of the day, people were actually learning, but through kind of this really cool segment. And yeah, so that was a great experience. And again, it taught me a lot about production, because they had
Hmm.
the TV studio, the cameras, and the
Yeah.
studio, and how do you take a trick and condense it into a 3 to 4 minute segment, right? With also the storytelling and
Hmm.
things like that. So I learned a lot about my performance style. What tricks that I thought were gonna work that didn't work,
Mm.
and also the other way around, with some tricks that I thought, I don't know, people will like this, and they end up really, really enjoying them. So yeah, it was a really cool experience.
That's awesome. And just thinking, I mean, I'm a content creator. I have been my whole career. And what I do with my work at Own Person is I do brand storytelling and human storytelling, and I try to weave it in a really authentic and memorable way. And so, just your format of magic as that format and creating that production quality, especially to highlight different existing brands, I think that's so unique. And as a marketer, I love it, and it makes me want to try different formats.
Yeah.
And so, just to build off of that idea, um, like you said, you've built experiences that are engaging and fun. So, how do you, and maybe you can use the example of working with the Patriots players when you're designing that actual, piece, that production. How do you make sure that experience will stick with people?
Yeah, that is a really good question. And I think stories really resonate with people. I think storytelling is
Hmm.
a really good way for people to remember things, because there's been a ton of studies on this, that uh, if you say statistics to anyone, right, they may remember it, but a story evokes an emotion with
Yes.
people, right? So how can you take uh, an example of, okay, I want to get to this point. I want them to walk away learning this. Now, what story can I tell that would be a great metaphor for that? Because again, stories, people think of stories as, it sparks a positive emotion, right? Stories can really change people. So I think that was the biggest thing that I did with the Patriots, is trying to tell a story, but in an entertaining way, where people are actually learning as well, about the player. So that was something that I learned a lot. And then how can you condense the story into, I don't, a 2 to 3 minute segment, right? So there was a lot of, it really tested my creativity a
Yeah.
lot, right?
It's a
Uh,
challenge.
it definitely is a challenge, right? How can you not only tell a story, but in a way that's engaging, and also in a way where people are learning something afterwards as well. So I think storytelling is a big, big aspect of something that, if you want something to stick with someone, storytelling, I think, from my perspective, is one of the best things you can do.
Yes, I totally agree, and that's what I do, and that's kind of the center of it all. And I think that, like you said, people react in an emotional way. Certain things resonate on a human level. So I don't know if you're able to maybe dissect that process down a little more in terms of like if you were to give advice to a leader or someone in business trying to move their audience, right, on an emotional level, what would you recommend in that process? I mean, a lot of people work with folks like me who help them through it. But if someone were to do it on their own, what would you say?
Yeah, I think the best thing is trial and error. And I know that's a tough thing that people may not want to hear, but I think the more that you try something, the more that you'll resonate what you're most comfortable doing, and also your audience will provide you data as well.
Mm,
Because I
like
think
reading the room.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, and that's why, performing magic and doing the events I've done, again, sometimes when I perform a magic trick, I think it could be a really stupid trick. I say, people won't like this trick, and people will love it. And also the other way
Surprise me a lot of the
around,
time.
right? Other way around, sometimes I'll spend months developing this new concept. I'll do it, and it doesn't get the reaction I want. So I think just keep doing it, keep refining your message. Maybe you phrase something differently at one time, maybe you phrase it differently another time.
Hmm.
Figure out what your audience is really resonating with, and you'll soon figure out what your brand voice will be.
Hmm.
I've changed what I've done over the years until finally something stuck. Okay, I think this is my message. This is what I want to go down, right?
Yeah.
This
And
is
it
what I
takes
want
a
to become.
while.
Yeah, it definitely takes a while. But I think it's all about trial and error, figuring out what you're comfortable doing and what your audience resonates the most. And the only way to figure that out is to keep trying it and keep adapting. And maybe you change one word here and one word here. Maybe you on your website you have maybe you put the mission statement above or below, right?
Hmm.
Things like that, you'll figure out what ends up working.
Yeah. Well, candidly, I've been doing that with my own business and it's been under a year, so I'm still in that trial and error process. And I think a lot of people can relate. And I think that was great feedback and so true. And um, just as people, I think when we put something out there, we feel a bit vulnerable, right? We're putting ourselves out there, we're trying something, and it doesn't always get the reaction we're hoping for. Maybe like you post something and you get one like, or like you're
Yeah.
at an event and it seems like crickets, right? So I think a lot of people then say, well, forget it. I don't even want to try. But how would you reassure someone to keep testing and learning from the data and um, basically sticking with it? I mean, it's just kind of something you have to give time, but is there anything else you would say with someone that is a little shaky on that?
I would say the people that have the most successful brands and following were once in your shoes,
Hmm. It's so true.
right?
You got to
So,
start somewhere.
yeah, you have to start somewhere. Someone told me this quote the other day, which I thought was kind of corny, but I did like it.
Okay.
Uh, version one is better than a version none.
Hmm.
So, in other words, you have to start with something.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what that something is, but you could have the greatest idea in your mind, but if you don't actually try it, it's only going to be stuck in your mind.
Yep.
And I think even I think people think everything will be perfect, their first version, which is never the case, right? But just putting something out there, and it can just be something really simple, the concept, whatever it is, and then you figure out, okay, what did I like about this? What did other people like about this? Okay, what can I tweak for version two? Okay,
Hmm.
what can I tweak for version three? And eventually, these small tweaks are going to get you to where you want to be.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think a version one is better than a version none.
I love that. Yeah, you have to just do it and kind of speak your thoughts into existence and put it out there and see what happens and continuously work on it.
Yeah.
I was just, when you were saying that, I was thinking of your your term impossible is just a word. So when you work on something and you feel like you got it, it feels right, and you're getting that reception that you're hoping for, does that feel like you're achieving the impossible? Like how does that phrase come to be in your work, and how do you feel like it's working?
Yeah, well, I've got my little impossible just the word mug right here.
I love that.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, I think for me, there I've always strived upon did did it actually achieve what I wanted to achieve, right?
Hmm.
So, for example, I had a show a few months ago, and I think a lot of magicians want their audience to come up to them after the show and say, "Oh my God, how did you do that? Those tricks were
In
amazing.
my mind.
Yeah, you blew my mind," right? Which is great, but this person came up to me afterwards, which was actually more memorable for me. And she said, "That was so refreshing. I had so much fun."
Ooh.
And I say, "Yeah, like that's what I strive for." Like, and it's okay if people figure out the tricks. It's okay if, if they have guesses of how I did it, which is fine. As long as they're having fun, and as long as they feel refreshed afterwards, say, "Man, like that was a really fun time." To me, I achieved my goal.
Because you just want people to enjoy what you're putting out there.
Yeah, yep. And I think a lot of people nowadays are so focused on achieving more, achieving more, achieving more. Okay, I achieved this, what else can I do? And they're trying to always kind of up themselves. And I think we forget that life is supposed to be enjoyable.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So
I was just thinking about this yesterday.
right? Yeah, and so many people are trying to constantly achieve more and add to their resume and
Hmm.
XYZ. And I get it, like bills have to be paid, like if you have to work more, like that's a different story, right? But just focusing on how can you just enjoy life more?
Oh, the fact that that's your core mission is just beautiful. I really like that a lot. And I was saying I thought about this recently because, I'm always working on improving myself, even like from a personal development standpoint. With my clients, I'm very transparent about emotional intelligence work, and just kind of personal healing, whatever you need to do to get to that next step of leadership. But sometimes it's like, you know what? You're actually doing really well. Enjoy where you're at and be proud of yourself and be in the moment, in the present moment. And as a mother too, I stay very present with my one and a
Mhm.
half year olds, just like enjoying everything and playing, and I get to live in that more childlike state a lot of the time, so that's a great reminder. So it seems like you bring that a piece of that to your audiences of just have fun. Like that's we're here to have fun and enjoy our lives.
Yeah, and this actually really resonated with me. I was really into sports growing up. I played football, basketball, and baseball, and then in high school I focused a lot on track. And
Okay.
there was this local road race in my town every year, about 150 people, like 200 people, not a lot of people. But the first time I ran the race, like I almost came in first place. I said, "Oh wow, this
Wow.
is this is cool." So the next year I trained for it and I did come in first place. And I
Nice.
ended up coming in first place for 5 years in a row. And I'm not saying this to brag. There's a moral to this story. Even though I was coming in first place every year, about 6 months before the race it would happen in June. So around December, I would get so nervous about
Really?
the road race. So nervous. And I would be out in the snow training. I'd be doing
Wow.
sprints,
The
waking
dead
up
of winter
early,
in New England.
like, right? Yeah. Like dedicated to win this road race. And again, half the people running this race, they were walking with Dunkin' Donuts iced coffees with their friends. Like no one took this race seriously
Yeah, they
except
were
for me.
chilling.
Yeah. And I just realized over the years that I said, what am I doing? Like this little road race is taking over my life.
Hmm.
And what is the benefit, right? Like I'm not training for the
Yeah,
Olympics.
like why?
Yeah, why am I doing this? So one year I said, you know what? I'm not gonna run it. And I went out with my friend in Boston. We explored the city, and it just felt so much better afterwards.
Mm,
So I learned that I think a lot of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves
yes.
in certain aspects of our lives where we don't necessarily need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I challenge your listeners, think about what's causing you stress right now
Mm-hmm.
and think about why it is causing you stress. And
Mm-hmm.
I get it. There's, like I said, like we have to survive. There's bills, the cost of things are high. Like I totally get that. But are there certain things in life that are really stressing you out that how can you just shift your perspective just a little bit and ask yourself, why is it stressing me out so much?
Mm-hmm. And then once someone actually focuses on that and understands that a bit more, maybe they can say, well, actually don't need to be
Hmm.
stressed or think about this, or like you decided to just do something else that made you more relaxed and have a better day.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to put yourself under that, and it's just not worth it sometimes. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think winning a medal sometimes isn't worth it. It,
and we always, every person has like a little bit of that ego that pops up of, and if you're a competitive person, maybe you just want
yeah.
to say, I can do this. I'm gonna, even compete with yourself. I do
Mhm.
that sometimes, but if
Yeah.
it's affecting you in a way that isn't actually benefiting your life, then always need to rethink in that
Yeah.
situation.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and just from getting to know you, you're clearly an optimist, and I think you like to spread joy. Um, and one thing you mentioned is that you don't really like the trick aspect of the magic.
Hmm.
You Is that because you're a genuine person, or why do you think you've approached it in this way? Does it reflect your values? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all of that, what you just said. I think growing up, magicians, what I've noticed, a lot of magicians, and again, there's nothing wrong with this, but they develop their show of, okay, how many tricks can I perform and how can I fool my audience with all these tricks?
Yeah.
And some people, some audience members love that, which is totally okay. But I think I've learned that, like we were just saying, we're all in this life together, and life is supposed to be about having fun and
Mm-hmm.
bringing people together for a fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can approach magic in a way where, like, hey, like we're all in this together. The cool thing about magic isn't the trick to me. It's we're all bringing strangers together for this one common experience to experience joy and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's what we should be focusing on in life more is how can we bring joy and happiness to more people, to maybe people that you may not know, right? To strangers,
Yeah.
and create more positive experiences where people are walking away feeling happier.
Yeah.
So with magic, that's how I approach magic. How can I develop an experience where people are walking away feeling happier about life?
Well, that's really beautiful. And I actually was going to ask you, what do you want people to walk away with? So it's just simple. You just want to make people happier than they were when they first arrived. Is that right?
I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it.
That's so
Yeah.
nice. And so it seems like you're very active in your work, and you have a lot of great things going on, and you've built a really inspiring career path. Is there anything you're looking ahead to maybe achieve in the future, or what do you think is next? Do you want to just kind of continue and see what naturally evolves, or do you have anything kind of on the bucket list?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my career started as me being a magician,
Mm-hmm.
and then I learned through the magic that, wait a minute, we can build experiences that we can use the magic as a way to get to another thing, right? Whether I'm teaching creativity or teamwork or things like that. And then because of I kind of went down that path, then I learned more about leadership case studies and how to build these experiences where people are learning about leadership and creativity in a unique way. So keynotes, right? So this is where I'm at in my phase of my career right now. And I work with keynote speakers now of
Mm,
how to build an experience where people are learning in a really fun and engaging way.
mm-hmm.
And so I've been doing that. So I have a bunch of clients doing that and working with them. I also produced a show called Come Together, which
Mm-hmm.
is a Beatles show, which is
Yeah,
very, very fun.
I
So you
love
learn about the Beatles, the band, the Beatles,
that. Mm-hmm.
but through magic and through rare
Oh,
footage
my
and
niece would love that. She's so into the
yeah.
Beatles.
Oh, it's great. It's
And I
so
love the
much
Beatles.
fun. Yeah, so I do this show with a guy, his name is Chachi Lapret,
Okay,
and he has his own radio show called Breakfast with the Beatles.
nice.
And he's met Paul McCartney and Ringo a bunch of times, and
Wow,
yeah, he's a great guy. So we co-host the show together, and we travel all around New England.
that's
Um,
great.
yeah, but the goal again is all about how can you use entertainment to teach people about something in a really fun way. So
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, people are learning and they're happier people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where my career path is right now, and I really enjoy it and I really love it, and I'm
I can
hoping
tell
that, yeah. Oh, thank you,
that
and
comes through.
thank you, and I hopefully we can create some more magic. That's the goal.
Yeah, life needs as much magic as possible, and I think it makes total sense for you because you have the gift of creativity. You're clearly a creative. And so to help people tell more creative stories, put on a more creative show, and really engage and have that meaningful human connection and experience where people are coming together, like the Beatles,
Yeah.
um, that's awesome. And you're using your gift in a really cool, fun way. So props to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I've been really lucky. I think one of the things I've learned over the years is that if you want to achieve something, surround yourself with the right people.
Totally.
And I think I learned that the hard way growing up. I thought I could achieve everything by myself, and I would isolate myself and try to achieve things and all this type of things. But I think as I've got older, I've surrounded myself with amazing people that have helped me uh, with my career, with the things that I've been able to achieve, and it really does take a team to achieve something.
A
Uh,
100% takes a
yeah,
village.
yeah.
And
So
like you were saying, we're not in this alone. So
we're
it
not.
makes sense to, you know, get to that point in your career through the help of the community and by leaning on people you trust and that you admire. So I totally
Yeah,
agree with that.
yeah. I think there was a saying, you're the sum of the top five people that you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that is so accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of different phases of my life and who I was at that phase of my life, and I look around the people I hung around with that phase of my life. I say, oh, it's totally true, right?
Mm.
So I think if you want to achieve something, a certain goal, surround yourself with people that you know will help you there.
And bring
And
you up.
yeah,
That's
yes.
great advice. Yeah. Completely agree. Well, I think that's all I had, but thank you so much. It was great to speak with you and learn more about what you've been doing. And I'm going to check out that radio show and maybe look into tuning
Yeah.
into whatever else you're offering because it sounds so interesting.
Yeah. That show. So his radio show is called Breakfast with the Beatles,
Mm-hmm.
and our website for the Beatles show is Come Together Productions So
Got
like
it.
the song Come Together, then productions.com. It has
Okay.
all the events that we're doing where you learn about the Beatles in a fun way. And then my website is johndukelogan.com.
Perfect. Okay, well, I will definitely check all of that out. And for anyone listening, feel free to check it out as well. But
Yeah.
thank you so much, John, and take care.
Awesome. You as well, Megan. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Bye.